This feels crazy. It feels like such a long time since I've kind of been on here. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Nonso, and I guess you're on my channel. If you are someone who is probably subscribed for a very long time, hey, hello. I think the last thing I ever shared was working with the fellowship and being able to be a part of the conference, and that was definitely one of the coolest experiences I've had in a long time, but one that has really changed since then. Number one, I'm not in Ottawa anymore. That's the big thing. I now live in Montreal. I'm really excited about this new process, but then also that doesn't change the fact that I'm really happy to kind of be back here talking to update you guys on how the last year and a half, 2 years have gone. Though I've not been on here specifically, I have been everywhere else. For a long period of time I thought I'd end up in law, and now I'm getting my master's of arts in education and society, which is number one wordy, but then also has no inherent connection to what I saw for how my journey is meant to go. And I think this speaks to just generally all of us, especially in undergrad or in graduate studies, or just at this age where you can plan all you want, but some things will work out and occur on their own, and sometimes you just need to let it. I definitely have had to do a lot of stepping back in ways that I don't think I would have generally been as interested in doing, a lot more slowing down, a lot more personal work, and that just began with being willing to accept that maybe what I expected for myself isn't what I actually need. Sometimes it also takes listening to other people who say that, but then really listening to your gut. And I do think had I not listened to my gut, I wouldn't be in this lovely apartment, which hopefully I'll tour when it's complete, and indulging the fact that I get to be like a full-time learner and a full-time student. I just get to be in a lot of really cool spaces in a way that I couldn't even imagine for myself, let alone with other really interesting people. Where do we begin? Number one, I don't really work in the Senate anymore, and that was definitely an experience that changed my life. It changed my understanding of what politics can look like, my understanding of where I see myself fitting into a political landscape that isn't as clear as we really hope it to be. I do think I have a lot more insight that I'm now capable of sharing because I don't work in that space anymore. It's definitely a lot of memory and lessons tied to working within the Canadian government, and that is a perspective that I can get to if you'd like. But the last things I did before leaving was closing at my office. Because the election, we ended up proroguing for a really long time. A lot of the work that I had done up until the end of session, under Justin Trudeau's term anyway, was scrapped, which was really annoying because we put so much effort into working on speeches and bills and different things only for them to be rendered useless by the end of the year. So coming into the new session last year, we really had a lot of goals to solidify how are we going to see what this new government might look like, how are we going to close out and ensure that when we close out we are setting ourselves up for what the future session would look like. I knew that I was leaving at the end of June, so I spent a lot of time really understanding and reinforcing my presence in the spaces that I felt most connected to, just because I'm leaving for my master's degree. And I think just because you're leaving a specific space, you always want to maintain a bridge, and the last couple months of April, May, and June were developing those bridges. On top of that, I walked the stage, convocation. That was probably one of the cooler things I got to do, and I got to do that with my lovely parents and my siblings watching me. They spent a couple days where I actually got to take them to the different places. We had photo shoots together. I got to show my dad what I did, which is really cool. Out of everyone, he's the only one who actually hasn't come to Ottawa. He got to really see that together and experience what I was experiencing. To see your parents kind of not only watch what you've succeeded in doing, but be able to be told that by the people around them. I've never felt prouder of myself and just more excited to be their kid than that week when they came and met my friends and met the community that has taken care of me for the past 4 years. You don't really notice how strong you are and how strong those people around you are until you're face to face with the people who have seen you in your ups and your downs, and you're kind of watching them take note of each other and what they've done for you. It was very emotional a lot that week, just because everything was really shifting in ways I didn't really expect it to, and I didn't understand what to do with that. A couple months before that, I had found out that I was able to get a full ride scholarship for my master's in Montreal, and that definitely changed my life in more ways than I can even talk about right now. Those last 3 months of my undergrad were running around trying to organize myself because I knew I was moving, and then also preparing for the biggest trip of my life, which was I traveled to Bali for all of July with one of my best friends, and thinking about that and remembering that I don't really have the words to express just how amazing it was. It was a mix of terrifying because I'd never done anything like that, plus exhilarating because we were constantly on the go and trying new things and tasting new foods and talking to new people, but then also just profoundly enriching. And I felt like I found and lost myself many times. I found and lost kind of community many times because I was just going from place to place and meeting different people at every corner we went. There was definitely a part of me that I left there that I cannot wait to go back and retrieve, and a different version of me came from that trip too. You know, when you like leave, it's one thing to like leave home, but it's another thing to experience the world without kind of the guiding structures, the familial structures that once held you. I always considered travel as like a sacred thing with my family, because the only time I used to travel was with my parents when we went back to Nigeria to visit family, or if we were like, I think we did the one Kenya trip, which was really cool because we have family there. So we went there when I was 8. I remember a few things. I remember my brother putting a centipede in my bed. I remember us riding a glass boat, and I remember Christmas in Mombasa. Those are the 3 things I remember. Up until then, I had not traveled without my parents or some type of familial structure that far away. Of all the countries, Indonesia, specifically the island of Bali, was such a welcoming space. And number one, I know there is that form of neo-colonial connection to tourism that they have to deal with, but just as human beings, there was never a corner that I didn't feel welcomed or I didn't feel incredibly excited to learn. And as a young Black woman, guys, I was scared to travel. I think I've heard so many terrifying things about what it's like to travel on your own, and I didn't know what it would be like to just go and try and hope for the best. That really healed a lot of fear I had in experiencing the world on my own. I don't know, I just found so much there, and I cannot wait to do another trip like that again. I'm already mentally saving for that. Following Bali, I came all the way back to do a retreat with my scholarship group. We went out to a nature reserve for about 4 or 5 days, and that was a really interesting form of recuperation, but then also shedding. Like we just kind of threw everything, kind of held on when we were coming into the program. We kind of let it out and prepared ourselves for what the next couple years were supposed to be as a community. All in all, those little things really curated what the past, actually not the past 2, like there's so much more that happened, guys, but the past couple months has been a ruckus. And now here I am today. I'm about to head out. It's currently 12:31 and I am going to do a crazy crunch down on some of my thesis work, and then also do some of my readings that are due technically at 1 o'clock, but I'm not going to that class today. We don't skip frequently, we're just skipping today. And after I get to do a welcome event with my scholarship group, we get to meet the volunteers and the community that kind of supported us and interviewed us, did all the crazy things that happened, because many people are international, so we had people flying in, we had people doing interviews online, and it was a really crazy experience that requires a kind of coming down, I guess. So we're doing that today, this evening, where we get to meet everybody and see each other. Anyway, I would love you to spend a day with me. If you want to stay, we haven't had consistent communication, but doesn't mean I don't miss you. Let's get the day started.
It's never over until life ends. Lay down beside me, do it again. It's never over until life ends. Yeah, lay down beside. Don't be a fool, baby. I know you've changed. It's in my nature, and it's okay. It's okay, baby. You got this, and you are part of me.
Okay, so I think that was like a really successful study session, as in I didn't procrastinate as much as possible, but I am somewhat late to get ready for the event for this evening, which, to be honest, I'm actually really excited. I hope there's food because I haven't eaten yet. We'll find out what happens. Okay, I actually made it here on time, guys. Yay. We were worried, but we're okay.
I mean, it was stressed like 8 times in email. So.
It was stressed 8 times in email.
Yeah, the different start times. fans too.
Yeah, it's not my fault. Like, they set me up.
Yeah.
Right?
Hi, I'm Eric.
Eric is super cool. Eric is the most athletic person I've ever met in my life who enjoys it for fun. He just does it for the vibes, and I want to be Eric when I grow up.
Okay, we have here the one and only
Emily. Emily knows your vibe.
Emily knows her vibe. And then if there's one person who can catch a vibe from anywhere, it's you.
Wow. Okay.
I'm never worried about Nina having a fun time.
I'll go with
Nina,
that.
look at the bag detailing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfectly.
Oh my gosh, she
Isn't
knew.
that how